minimalism entrepreneurship is just a way of thinking and acting and working to embrace living in this modern age where everyone is online, everyone wants information, and to work in a way that helps people on your own time and in a way that you love. Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and how and why white coats need to embrace thinking and acting like an entrepreneur to get the changes they want in their career and to change that trajectory of what's possible for them. For me, I love entrepreneurship, and thinking like an entrepreneur was the best move I made a few years ago because for more than 10 years, I was working in a pharmacy as a PharmD, and I felt really stuck because I knew I could only earn as much money as the hours I worked. So if I wanted to earn more money, I had to work more overtime. And my pay was always tied to the hours worked. So I wanted to be able to free up not only what I was working on, but how I was working and how I was earning, and embrace and be part of this gig economy that I see growing around me that I believe is coming to healthcare. I wanted part of that, but I didn't feel like that was available to me as a pharmacist because the only model I had seen for entrepreneurship in pharmacy or ever talked about in pharmacy school was owning a physical pharmacy, owning a pharmacy, buying all of the inventory, hiring all of the staff, and having a very high operating cost to start with a huge risk that if this doesn't go well, I'm going to be on the hook for this. I am not a risk taker at all. I am very risk averse. So while I knew that business owners are the truly wealthy people in the world because their earning power is not tied to clocking in at Kronos every day, it's tied to creating an asset that grows over time. I really didn't think it was possible for me in pharmacy. And I think that's the case for many white coats in healthcare, that we only see entrepreneurship done in big settings like owning your own clinic and owning your own pharmacy and doing these businesses that require a good capital investment and a lot of work to keep running. As a mom with 4 kids who had no time, who was working so much at Walgreens, I didn't have the desire at all to pursue entrepreneurship that way. I came at it from a minimalist entrepreneur, just like the tech world does, because the area I live in Utah is called Silicon Slopes. And so there's a booming tech industry, and I see companies starting and growing all the time. And it's from someone taking an idea, validating it, and growing it, most of the time with a pretty scrappy start. So I always wanted to do something like that, but I didn't feel that I could as a pharmacist. I felt I had to be tied to physical products or just leave pharmacy entirely. But I loved the degree I had, and I really wanted to use it, especially since I spent so much time and money getting that PharmD. And so now that I've been a living, breathing minimalist entrepreneur for 3 years now, I feel compelled to shout it from the rooftops that this is such a great opportunity and way of working and thinking that will serve you very well into the future. Because if your advanced education in healthcare, whether it be medical school, pharmacy school, any advanced degree, likely it taught you to be a really good employee, to know the knowledge you needed to function in a job, to follow the rules, to check the boxes, and to do exactly what you're told in your job. It did not teach you to create new ways of working and building in public and being a scrappy entrepreneur who's imperfect at the start. In a way, being imperfect at the start feels like it's a professional no-no, that like, no, you cannot be imperfect. You have to be perfect. You have to do everything correctly, or you're not a professional. You're not serving patients or your community well. You have to know everything you're doing before you do it. But we're human, and no one could ever know perfectly how to do everything until they do it. So let me explain to you a little bit more about what being a minimalist entrepreneur looks like and how it's different than traditional small business ownership. So small business ownership, like I've talked about, you are likely renting a building, you're buying products, you're hiring staff. It's a very big cost and emotional investment with a significant risk attached to it that if this doesn't go well, you'll be on the hook. Whereas being a minimalist entrepreneur has almost no startup costs, and you just create things that people ask you to do and throw ideas out there. And only when people show their interest through their dollars do you build what they want. So minimalist entrepreneurs typically work online and in the digital space and are creating info products, digital downloads, online courses, coaching, one-on-one help. And so all of these things can be built after the idea has been validated and require almost no startup costs. It's really the time that it takes to start something up. It's such a fun, freeing way to work because it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm jumping off the deep end into this business. If it doesn't work, like I have to sell the farm, my family is ruined with all of the stress. Because the joy of entrepreneurship for me is just creating something that didn't exist and just having fun building something that I truly love, because we did not learn how to be creative. And I think creativity was pretty well stamped out of us in our higher education. And so it just feels like a fun, free way to work, to create, to work in a area and a niche that you absolutely love and that you could talk about for an hour without any prompts because you love it so much, and find that unique tribe of people who is online looking for your solution and giving it to them. It's a no-risk way of working with only upsides and opportunities, and it's just more than a way to earn some revenue as a white coat. It's minimalism entrepreneurship more to me is just a way of thinking and acting and working to embrace living in this modern age where everyone is online, everyone wants information, and you are the expert, you are smarter than 99% of Americans, and to work in a way that helps people on your own time and in a way that you love. I really feel like once you start working and thinking like a minimalist entrepreneur, you really set yourself apart from your peers, because they're all competing with getting the most letters after their name and climbing the social hierarchy in corporate careers, killing themselves off for their companies. Whereas minimalist entrepreneurs think of themselves as their brand. And minimalist entrepreneurs are investing in developing themselves, because no matter what company they work at, they can take their creations and their solutions with them. They're not building this all for someone else, that they're building their own brand and something that makes them a valuable asset that stands out from all other peers on the planet. Because very, very, very few white coats are thinking like entrepreneurs and thinking like creators. They're just looking for another job that better fulfills them, or looking for a solution that's outside of them. I think white coats are the best resource, and the patients are looking for working with them in unique ways. And when you start as a minimalist entrepreneur, you can create whatever you want, however you want. And it's really just a creative expression that ultimately pays you a lot of money and helps free you from those golden handcuffs that keep you locked into jobs where you're comfortable, but not necessarily thriving or happy or have a great future in their control. As an entrepreneur, you get to control your future, and it's so fun to do. So as we've talked about, entrepreneurship doesn't necessarily mean investing $500,000 into a franchise or a business with all of this risk. Being a minimalist entrepreneur is just building in public and giving the group of people that you attract exactly what they want. And it's something that you'll have with you for the rest of your life and that you can enjoy taking with you because you build in public. So if you're not familiar with building in public and kind of the journey of a minimalist entrepreneur, I want to talk to you about it. And then we'll close with why it's no risk and all gain. And I kind of believe it's the moral responsibility of white coats. So let's talk about building in public and how it's totally accessible to you. So when you're building in public, you just start by consistently talking every day about a couple subjects you love. That's it. You consistently create content around a couple ideas that you just love talking about and want to teach more about. That's it. For a couple of months, you just talk about the same subject over and over and over again, and not necessarily in a teaching way, like here's all of the things you need to know about hormone therapy replacement, or here's the 7 things you should know about psilocybin every single day. It's just talking about, in general, a subject that you love and asking questions and not knowing some things and asking why this is the status quo and just finding what that is that you love to talk about so much. And when you're first starting, you probably don't even know the subjects you like talking about. And so for me, I recommend taking about 3 different subjects that you love talking about. Like I call them buckets, like 3 different buckets of topics that you really love and don't know which one will be the one that takes off, but just that you really enjoy talking about it, and kind of narrow in your focus so you're talking about the same things over and over again and talk about them online every single day for months. And this will automatically set you apart from all other white coats, because white coats are not creators, and the chances are that no one is talking about this subject, especially from your unique background, online. So it forces you to get in the habit of creating and showing up online every day with zero expectations. As you do this and build in public, you expect nothing and appreciate everything. You understand that you're starting from zero and you're just really interested in the subject and don't know what you're going to build or what needs this group of people that you'll attract have, but that you're going to be the expert and you're going to build it for them as it grows. And so just getting online and building in public every day. I would recommend starting with just one platform and being very consistent on that platform in the place that reaches the people you want. So for me, I'm on LinkedIn, and I love LinkedIn because that's where all the other white coats are. I love talking to pharmacists more than anything else. So I found a platform where all of the pharmacists and the white coats are. They're on LinkedIn. So that's where I talk every single day. If your group is on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter, then start talking there every single day. Then, as you start doing this over months and months and months, you'll find the subjects that you love most talking about and the topics within there that people are most engaged with. So you're just doing a giant scientific experiment with no expectations on your outcome other than, one, getting your brain used to creating every day and having a voice online every day, and two, just seeing what people think to those ideas and narrowing down subjects and topics and problems that people are having within those areas. Then as you start hearing the same problems, the same questions over and over, you can build a solution for them and sell that solution online. It's just so simple, but it's such a fun way to work. Once you start working this way and earning money this way, it's such a freeing feeling that helps you narrow in the topics that you love to talk about, get in the habit of being a creator, and just find what people want out in the world and build it for them. It's a fun experiment just to see what's available and to train your brain, but it's also very fascinating to see what patients or people want to learn from you, because it's likely not what you want to teach. I know I've talked with so many other PharmDs who have created their own business, like a scrappy minimalist like me. And we all say the same thing, that we have so much to teach and we teach online every day. And then when people reach out to work with us one-on-one, their questions can be so basic, but they just want like more hand-holding and to make it unique to their situation. And so what you're talking about and building consistently online just naturally ties into what people want to apply to their life, to improve their life. And so it's just a natural, fluid process that helps you kind of think and feel like an artist and not judge your work and assume that one piece of content that you've created is great and another is garbage. You just create and you create and you create, and you let the people who are consuming the content give you feedback onto what was great, what didn't work, what they want more of. It's just a fun, free way to work, and it's the best way to start and get in the habit of talking online, sharing your opinions, and daring to be a white coat who is creating their own brand, even if you don't know where that brand is going to go, because likely where you start is not a straight line to where you're going to finish. Because I know when I started, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something different that really lit a fire in me, but I couldn't think of anything right from the beginning. So I started a couple of really, looking in hindsight now, they're dumb things, but that's how you do. You just have to start where you are with like the best next step you can take and take it and keep consistently moving forward and figuring out what worked and what didn't, but that you're constantly moving forward rather than overanalyzing and shutting down all of your efforts before you really give them time to grow. So for example, when I first started, this is not my first podcast. I started a podcast. It was terrible. It was terrible. I thought, well, what do pharmacists need? They need fun updates on medication, because I don't know what's going on in the world. Like, I don't ever read any of those like drug topics or Pharmacy Today articles that come in the pharmacy. If I just had like a 5-minute podcast to tell me about all the drug updates, like that would be so cool. So I started creating that podcast. And about 4 episodes in, I was like, no, I hate this. I hate talking about new drugs. Like, I don't care if a new formulation came out on market. I don't care if like, I don't know how to say these names. I don't care to learn them. Like, okay, this is a need in the community, but I am not interested in doing this myself. So I scrapped that. I also thought it would be fun on Instagram to be like the skincare pharmacist and be this pharmacist who championed like skincare and like did all this great skin stuff. But after a couple months of trying to do posts on there and like live this Instagram perfect life, I was like, nope, this is not for me either. I thought it was a good idea. This is not it. And I also started an MLM. I got into an MLM and got all excited about that. Like, okay, this MLM, this is the solution I need. I can have my own business and help all these people and grow my downline. I had skills with it and learned a lot about selling, but ultimately was like, this is not where I want to go. But instead of feeling like each of those was a failure and that I found the wrong thing, each of those fails, and to fail quickly really helped accelerate my growth into what I love doing and what I love talking about. I just got in the habit of starting and not overanalyzing an idea and not shutting it down because it was potentially dumb or like I assumed people didn't want to do it. I just followed my gut and took the next step. And that ability to just start quickly and fail quickly and keep going and not put all of my eggs in one basket and assume that if this works, then I'm amazing. And if it doesn't, I'm a giant failure and I never should have tried. That's such a broken way of thinking. I just like trying new things and either succeeding or failing as quickly as possible and learning more about myself, what I love and what people like hearing from me. Starting almost 3 years ago, I've just been writing about all of my experiences online every day on LinkedIn and just was sharing all of the ups and the downs and what I wanted to build. I ultimately ended up building my own consulting practice. And then from that, created a course. And from that, got a lot of other consulting opportunities and some really cool introductions in the world. But it all just started from being willing to try and start and build in public because you can't worry about what people are going to think about you. And if you're starting doing the wrong thing or the right thing, no one's going to remember in 6 months what you were doing. And I strongly believe you should be embarrassed of your past self because it means you're trying and you're improving and you're just getting better. And the smallest action forward and just trusting your gut and doing that one thing that you've always wanted to do really helps funnel that energy that's stopping you of fear, anxiety, overthinking, and just funneling it into doing that thing is so rewarding. And it's just fun to have an outlet for that energy and just giving yourself the grace to just try and to be a beginner. Because I really believe we're way too hard on ourselves and that it's the moral responsibility of white coats to get out there and create and help others. We're the most educated people in healthcare and patients are craving help. They are desperate for help. And without you sharing your genius and your expertise online, they don't get a trusted healthcare expert. They get some like Joe Schmo, who's a yoga instructor on Instagram, who's talking about your subject. I'll just say like hormone therapy. That's the first thing that came to mind. People are going to them for advice and they're trusting them because that's the person who is talking about it consistently online, which is where people are. And so I really feel that not only for your career, your opportunities and the trajectory to be different than the rest of your profession, you also need this for your patients. And it's our moral responsibility as white coats to help our patients in new and effective ways, to understand that it's not a lack of information that patients have anymore. It's information overload and needing a trusted professional to help them sift through all of the information online and to give them the solution to the problem that they're facing. And it's a fun way to learn and create. And ultimately, if you do it consistently over time, you create your own brand for yourself that stands head and shoulders above everyone else and is something that you get to take with you for the rest of your life. Your own brand and your own unique way of helping people. It frees you up to earn money in new, flexible, innovative ways, and it makes you a real solution and a blessing for the people who are looking for you online. Because I guarantee in this world of, I don't even know how many people there are, 8 billion, there's a group of a couple thousand that are looking for you right now. And so just giving yourself some grace and having fun, being a beginner and trying something new and being okay with being awkward at the beginning is a skill that most white coats are too scared to accept. And those of us that do and are just scrappy and build in public get all of the reward. So I hope that you'll consider minimalist entrepreneurship as a way of thinking, and it's a subject I'm going to come back to again and again and again on this podcast because it's the way I live and work and think, and it's just opened the door to working in a fun, creative, non-stressful way that's just completely rewarding that I did not think would be possible for me as a PharmD for so many years. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I can't wait to talk about even more subjects in the podcast to come.